Instant appraisal in 2026. It's real, it's happening. But here's the catch. The same broader data inputs that make pricing faster, economic conditions, demographics, even social sentiment, can quietly tilt your value. If the training data's skewed, your net worth can be too. In the next minutes, I'll show you how holistic, real-time analytics can misread your block, why your neighbor's algorithmic bump becomes your discount, and the exact questions to ask your agent and lender before a machine decides your price. You'll see the speed, the savings, and the blind spots nobody's flagging. You click a button and a price pops up. Cute. But what actually steers that number before a human even blinks? Here's the thing. By 2026, the appraisal engine isn't just pulling comps. It's vacuuming economic signals, climate risk, mobility data, and yes, the vibes, social sentiment. The pitch is speed plus context. The reality is a model that thinks your house value lives inside a web of signals you never consented to. On paper, this sounds smart. Tie mortgage rates and job growth to demand. Fold in rental trends and inbound moves. Map insurance availability to coastal exposure. Then keep learning in real time as new data streams in. That's the promise. A clean, always-on valuation. It's like a turbocharged calculator that adds your block's whispers, not just your house's facts. But here's the catch. Those broader inputs can sneak in neighborhood proxies that track race and income even when you never mention either. School ratings, review data, certain safety metrics. If the model sees them as predictive, speed turns into a bias multiplier. You get a number that feels objective, but leans on signals with a past. And that past matters. Historical sales aren't neutral. They reflect who got loans, where appraisers felt comfortable, and which blocks got boxed out. Train on that history without corrections, and the gaps repeat. The algorithm doesn't wake up and decide to be fair. It just learns patterns. If the pattern says this block always lags, guess what the prediction does next? Here's where it gets messy. A block with identical homes splits in value because the model weighs a surge in negative area reviews and a dip in retail foot traffic. Not a roof issue, not a foundation problem, just a wave of cranky posts and fewer pings from shoppers. That's not valuation, that's noise with credentials. Sentiment scraping adds more tilt. Loud online voices get oversized attention. Residents who don't post get muted. The signal tilts toward extremes because that's who writes the takes. So the model learns a neighborhood's mood from a handful of power users and turns it into math. Looks scientific, feels precise, goes sideways fast. Now layer climate risk and insurance. Useful in theory, helpful to spot real exposure, but blend it with demographic drift, and the penalty can blanket entire zip codes if a carrier pulls back or premiums spike nearby. The model overcorrects. You get hit even if your home is elevated, upgraded, and bone dry. That's not resilience pricing. That's a zip code haircut. The kicker? Mobility data can echo the same bias. Fewer evening trips after a store closes. The model reads declining amenity and trims the number. It doesn't see a local owner rehabbing their place or a new permit filed. It sees the map and assumes the story. Fast pipelines love easy assumptions. So, yes, speed is real. Instant values can screen deals, set a baseline, and save you time when you're shopping or preparing to refinance. But without guardrails, the algorithm can quietly discount you for things you can't control. Who posts, who shops, which insurer blinked, and the skeletons buried in old sales. That's the quiet tax on your equity. You're not ready for what's next because the next click can lock it in. So if the inputs are messy, how do you keep that mess from deciding your net worth when you refinance or sell? If two houses are twins, why does one get a lift while the other gets clipped? Here's the thing. Holistic models don't just price the box you live in. They price the ecosystem around it. Investor buying spikes on one side of the street. Short-term rental revenue shoots up. A few landlords brag about weekend rates. And the algorithm treats that cash flow as gravity. Prices ripple. Meanwhile, the twin across the line rides a different tide. Fewer bookings, different tenant churn, and suddenly the twin isn't a twin in the math. But here's what nobody tells you. The lines that separate the up block from the lagging block weren't drawn yesterday. Models learn from past maps, old lending patterns and appraisal habits baked into decades of sales. When the machine looks at trend lines, it sees those borders and calls them momentum. If a neighborhood was boxed out back then, the model reads it as lower baseline now. And the faster the algorithm updates, the faster that history hardens into today's number. Let's break it down with something you'll actually feel. A renovated home with new systems, clean permits, the whole deal gets dinged because walkability scores dipped after the only grocery store closed. Meanwhile, a micro-district 5 minutes away pops off thanks to a viral coffee shop and a stack of fresh Yelp check-ins. Same era homes, same square footage, different story. The model pours credit into the loud area and trims the quiet one because the inputs tell it where heat lives. It's like using your neighbor's party playlist to decide how fun your living room is. Now add the proxies that pretend to be neutral. School scores slide into the mix. Crime data, spotty, inconsistent, often lagging, gets treated as precise. Even traffic sentiment from navigation apps gets read as livability. These signals correlate with race and income over time. So the algorithm thinks it's being objective, while it reenacts the same advantages and penalties people have been living under for years. You didn't pick the school rating, the model did, and it let that choice nudge your equity. Here's a mini story that keeps showing up. A homeowner files a refinance. On paper, clean, but an AI risk layer flags the file after social sentiment tanks because a viral clip put the neighborhood on blast for something unrelated to housing. The output? The valuation band shrinks. Underwriter gets twitchy. Weeks go by while the model stabilizes. Nothing about the house changed. Only the chatter did. And yes, the transaction pipe is getting slick. Smart contracts, e-notes, all the speed toys. Closings compress from weeks to days. Sounds great until the front-end valuation is off by 5 to 10%. Then the fast pipeline just locks a wrong number in faster. Efficiency without accuracy is a conveyor belt to the discount bin. So what do? You don't smash the machine. You interrogate it. You force daylight at the decision points you can touch. Ask your lender which top features drove the value. If non-property signals, sentiment, school proxies, foot traffic heat maps sit in the top tier, trigger a human review. Come prepared with verifiable upgrades, permits, energy reports, flood elevation certs, anything objective that reroutes the model back to your four walls. If the result still leans on neighborhood noise, request a reconsideration of value and attach fresh comps that share your improvements, not just your zip. Push for a version of the model that downweights non-property proxies when property-level data is strong. Keep it calm but relentless. You're not fighting the future, you're tuning it. Let's arm you with the exact questions that force clarity before you sign anything. Fast is coming, and yes, it's powerful. But unexamined inputs quietly tax your equity. That's the twist. The model reads noise as signal and turns it into your price. Let that sink in.